gas prices still a problem, and they're high. They continue highs for like 10 days in a row now. Each day, a new high. The national average, of course, is approaching $5 a gallon, and in Illinois, the average is actually much higher than that. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. So gas prices hit new record for 10th consecutive day across the country. For Illinois, you've got the average gallon of gas at $5.53 a gallon. $5.53 a gallon Wednesday in Illinois. The average Illinois gas price was a full dollar more than it was a month ago and $2.20 more than a year ago. Now, the national average was $4.95 a gallon. So what's going to happen here? We don't really see much relief in the future. Even the Biden administration's Secretary of Energy said they may see the price subside a bit, but it's not going to go below anything more than $4 now. So it seems that we're stuck with that at least. But what can be done to provide some relief? We'll talk about that a bit here from a couple of different angles. Several state representatives calling for a special session, and I asked the governor yesterday when he had to stop here in Springfield with his political campaign whether or not he's going to call a special session. And with the price of gas $2.20 more than it was a year ago, is the delay of a 2-cent gallon tax. Is that real relief? So we'll get his response to that coming up. But of course, you're welcome to call in live and local, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Again, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Well, the scary thing is just about anything JB or the state can do is only going to save you pennies. And the worry that I have is on a global market right now, gasoline use is actually low because of the lockdowns in China, which are expected to literally go away like right now, like these next coming weeks, which is only going to increase the demand, which is only going to increase the cost globally, which, you know, here in Illinois, we already are paying. And not to mention the whole aspect of they added more ethanol, which essentially made the gasoline per gallon less effective. You're getting less mileage per gallon of gasoline than you've ever gotten before, and you're paying more for it than you've ever paid before. I mean, this mess that we've been put in through inflation, the policy of the Ukrainian crisis, which we shouldn't even be dealing with still, and then overall, the Russian sanctions, which are adding to this global demand issue, and overall the Biden policy of the green. You know, he doesn't want you using gasoline. He'd rather us buy an electric car and do all that. This whole thing is going to sink the middle class for a couple years at least. And I mean, am I just supposed to suffer through this whole thing because of Democratic policy?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question and something I think that we'll see what happens in November and if there's going to be a political sea change. And I think that when people start thinking about their pocketbooks, that's definitely one of those issues that takes them to the polling place. Good morning. You're on WMAY talking gas prices.
Yeah, I got two things to touch on. One is, you know, they want to go to this clean energy, but yet you have the president fly to a Jimmy Kimmel show. I just Googled it. A 747 just during takeoff uses 5,000 gallons of fuel.
Yeah.
Just during takeoff. But my point is, or my other thing is, so they're saying supply and demand. I don't understand this. Maybe you can help me, because didn't we drive a lot before COVID hit? We're not driving anymore now after COVID, are we?
Oh, we drove quite a bit all over the place before the pandemic. I remember thinking in early 2020, like, oh, this is going to be a great year. Holy cow. Little did I know that the world would be derailed by a virus, which the origins we still don't know. So, hey, I appreciate the calls. Hey, we got a lot to get to here, okay? Because we're going to hear, of course, the response to the question I had for Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday. But I do want to highlight how we've got some different ideas out there and how we could provide relief for Illinoisans. Because Illinoisans, not only are we paying higher gas, we're paying higher gas than our neighbors. We pay $1 more a gallon on average than Missourians pay. So you've got people who live close to the borders. They're just hopping over the state. They're filling up a 20-gallon truck. You're going to save $20. That's not anything to sneeze at. That's, at least a couple of packets of chicken. 217-629-7970. Real quick, good morning. You're on WMAY.
Their big push is for all these renewables, and I'm actually working for a renewable generation company right now, and I'm telling you, all these jobs in Texas, wind farms, solar in Kentucky, have been shut down. They're not going to dollars for diesel to manufacture these fields and farms, and they're really just putting us up creek.
Yeah, your phone's breaking up a little bit. I kind of heard a little bit of that, but had to do with renewables and the production of renewables not necessarily advancing as quick as they want. And I know President Biden this week issued some kind of what is that? Whenever you have the Defense Production Act, that's what it is. Whenever they are saying essentially we're going to focus all of our resources on producing and shipping in from Malaysia, solar panel equipment. So, all right, but back to the gas prices. There's some ideas, and we've heard about these ideas before in the past, a couple of different ones. Now, one is from State Representative Adam Niemerg. He was with State Senator Darren Bailey yesterday at a news conference down in Effingham, where he laid out his proposal to suspend the state's gas tax, which was doubled back in 2019 and had an annual increase each year thereafter. And the increase for July 1st has been delayed to January 1st. So right now, I think it's about 44 cents a gallon that would save. So that's State Representative Adam Niemerg. We'll hear that coming up. But earlier this week, we talked with State Representative Mark Batnick, who has a different idea that Senate Republicans also had months ago. And that was to cap the sales tax that's on top of gas in Illinois. And why this is important is because I asked not just the governor about a special session, I also asked the House Speaker and the Senate President. And the Senate President's office said that the outrageous price gouging perpetrated on the motoring public needs to end. And they said nothing in Illinois caused prices of $5 or more a gallon. Washington needs to act. That was the message from Illinois Senate President Don Harmon's office yesterday. But when he says that nothing in Illinois caused prices of gas to be $5 or more a gallon, you look at the price of the taxes, and in particular, one locality in Illinois, Naperville, WirePoint's unpacked that they pay nearly $1 of tax on top of every gallon of gas. That's the federal, state, county, city, and sales tax, all on top of that. All right, so that means people filling up in Naperville are paying that much. So State Representative Mark Batnick, his idea was to cap the sales tax that's on top of gas. Here's some of what he had to tell us earlier this week.
When I introduced this legislation, I actually thought that it would either be in the budget implementation bill or that somebody else would steal it, or we would do it because it was such common sense. It's actually a huge regressive tax on the poor. And I just thought it was going to get done. And when it didn't get done and they did this freeze of the 2.2 increase on the per gallon tax, I frankly was shocked, especially since they're requiring that sticker to pat themselves on the back, which I think is gonna come back to bite them. So I would think the only reason that they wouldn't be doing it is because they don't want to give Republicans a win in some way, because we've been talking about this for a long time. But this really needs to be done. I mean, gas is getting out of control, and the idea that government is making a windfall in the backs of the middle class and poor is really disheartening. We 100% need a special session to deal with this. Absolutely.
And again, that's State Representative Mark Batnick with his proposal to cap the sales tax. Also yesterday, you had State Representative Adam Niemerg there down in Effingham separately with State Senator Darren Bailey laying out his proposal to suspend the state's gas tax. And he says that there needs to be a special session for this.
And just a couple of days ago, I called for a special session, my colleagues and I, to deal with this very issue, to tackle this egregious wrong that's going on in the state of Illinois. But yet we've heard nothing. We've heard absolutely nothing from the Speaker. Folks, I introduced House Bill 5732. This is the Motor Fuel Tax Relief Act. It suspends all gas tax in the state of Illinois, and folks, the money is there. We can do this for the people of the state. But like Blaine said, the special interest groups control too many politicians throughout the state of Illinois. This is a 44-cent reduction a reduction, folks, in your motor fuel tax for a period of 4 months. And folks, the revenues would still be there. We have $4.5 billion in surplus that was due to inflationary budgeting. We have more and motor fuel tax coming in this year than last year. The funds are there. It's time to act for the people of the state of Illinois. It's time to put the people ahead of the politicians.
So again, that was State Representative Adam Niemer yesterday, standing alongside Darren Bailey, who's challenging 5 other Republicans to get the Republican nomination for governor. If they move on, advance to November, they could take on Governor J.B. Pritzker. And I asked the governor yesterday at a stop in Springfield, gas is $1 more in Illinois than it was a week ago. It's $2.20 more than it was a year ago. How is that 2-cent freeze savings? And will you call a special session to deal with this issue? And here's what Governor J.B. Pritzker's response was to that question yesterday here in Springfield when I posed that question to him.
There's nothing we can do about that. This is a global market problem. What we can do in the state, as you know, is to provide some relief for families. So in addition to, you only want to point to the cessation of the inflation adjustment to gas tax. But remember, we're providing hundreds of dollars of relief directly to families that they can use for precisely this purpose. They can use it for any purpose they want, groceries or something else. Also, as you know, eliminated the grocery tax. But we're sending people directly hundreds of dollars. The average family will get a couple of $100, and they're able to use that in addition to the cessation of the increase in gas tax in order to pay for gasoline. Look, I don't think anybody expected that we'd be here with regard to gasoline prices. I mean, like you, I drive by the signs, or pull into a gas station and feel it with, where you're talking more than $5 in many places. And now I see that there are places in the country where it's $6 and $7 and $9. So, there's, I believe, going to be some cessation of that inflationary issue on gasoline, but can't happen fast enough.
So the governor says he feels your pain whenever he drives by or, pulls up to a gas station and sees $5 a gallon. So we'll get to a few more things in here. Stay tuned because there's also that idea of electric vehicles. Why not just get electric vehicles? We'll unpack some more of that question in the face of high gas prices coming up here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.